Hey everyone, welcome to Northeast Now, where all of your information for Northeast is located. I'm so excited this month to have President Ricky Ford on the podcast. President Ford, how are you today?
No, I'm doing great, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, no problem. And so, just getting started with these questions, my first question for you is, for our listeners who don't know, what does a typical day for you consist of?
Oh, wow. I really don't look at it as a typical day. I look at it as a typical week because there's a lot happening and some of it carries over from day to day. But since you asked the question, a typical day for me would be, as you well know, I'm a runner. I love to run. I love to bike, primarily running right now. But 2 to 3 days a week, I'll be up at 4 a.m. and I'll get my running in, usually about 5.5 miles. And then I'll come back and shower and get dressed and drink my coffee, check my emails, look through the news, read the newspaper, listen to the news on TV until about 6:20, 6:25, and I'll eat breakfast. And I'll try to finish getting dressed and be in the office probably about 7:15 to 7:20, something like that. And the reason for that, it gives me time that I can do some things that I need to do throughout the day, whatever it might be. I can plan, I can write memos, I can write letters. That way, that early you know you're not going to be interrupted. And usually about 8 a.m., a little bit before, people start coming in to work and reporting to office and things like that. And then things begin to pick up because, as you well know, I have an open door policy, so, people come in and there's no appointment and things like that, which that's great and that's fine. I want people to come by and visit, express concerns, express ideas, and whatever might be on their mind. So throughout the rest of the day, it's in and out, and I have Misty does a very good job of keeping my schedule organized for me. If not for her, I would really be struggling. She's actually out this week, and it's been a nightmare for me to try to get where I'm supposed to be and get there on time. And usually the day ends up anywhere from 4 p.m. till 10 p.m. So each day is a long day. It's challenging. It's interesting, to say the least. But that's pretty much a typical day for me, work day for me.
Awesome. And that's so a lot of our younger viewers, they just know you as President Ford. They don't know you as Coach Ford, like a lot of our older listeners know. So, how did you go from being a national champion basketball coach to president?
It was always a passion of mine and I guess a calling of mine to coach. And obviously when I graduated, even before I graduated from high school, I wanted to be a basketball coach. Played basketball in high school and college and those type things, and graduated from Mississippi State University and started coaching at Boonville High School. Coached there for 4 years, and it's just a passion of mine to be a coach and just to experience the kids and teaching and watching kids grow and get better and in a lot of different areas, not only just in the game of basketball, but to watch kids grow and mature and enjoy some success. And, one of the best feelings that a coach can have is to see a group of players that are, enjoying a win or enjoying a championship of some type. That's the reward that I got and during the years of my coaching for players. To see them enjoy some type of success. So, that was just something that I always wanted to do, was coach. And obviously the good Lord blessed me with it, and I enjoyed a lot of success and saw a lot of young ladies and men to develop into excellent, fine young men and young women. And, I did it for 34 years. So it was a great career. Really enjoyed it, learned a lot about motivating people, what motivates people, what makes them go, what they like and what they don't like, and it kind of helped me to where I am today, so to speak.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, like, especially as you get older, seeing how God's used different things to put you through, to place you where you are today. And like you said, with that motivation and leadership skills, that's enabled you to be such a good president and such a leadership role. So going back a little bit to topic of being the president, what is the most rewarding part about being president of the college?
Well, it's just like it was in coaching. You know, when you see the people around you enjoy some type of success. I think it's very important that as a president or a leader of anything, that you express what your vision is for the organization and for us, for the institution. And for us, you know, my vision is for us to provide the best instruction that we possibly can. And just staying, you know, I have a pet peeve, and that pet peeve is this. We don't do things like we always did them, because even though how good that was, things change. New things come along. And in order to move forward and be the best you can be, you've got to look at new things, new techniques, and you've got to try those. Some may work, some may not work, but so be it. You'll find something that really works well and you can use and move forward. Actually, going back to my coaching career, you know, it was very important that as a coach, you look for new techniques, you look for new offenses, you look for new defenses, and things that fit into what the players could actually do. And if you weren't willing to change and weren't willing to make some changes and move forward, then your success was going to be short-lived. You know, I think a lot of times in a lot of areas, people live in the past too much. You know, they will say things like, well, I remember when this happened. I remember when we used to do this. I remember used to do that. You know, it's fine to remember that and to think back on it and enjoy those memories, but it's not helping us a whole lot moving forward. So, you know, I really kind of don't like to live in the past and dwell on it. It's great memories, but, you know, when we win a championship, a state championship, I'd always have to remind the players, you know, that was last year. We have now got to move forward and concentrate on this year. And I say that even today. I say that today. Going forward from here, what do we do? And it's important that we learn from the past, yes, but as we go forward, we input as many new techniques and new things that we can out there for Northeast, for our students, for our employees. And, you know, that's another thing, you know, being president, I want to see the people around me and around the institution, everybody at the institution, be successful. Because when I can see them be successful, I know that we're headed in the right direction. Because when each division and each department and each individual is successful, then the whole organization is going to be successful. So that's, you know, as I said, my vision for this institution is to provide the best instruction we can for our students. If we can't do that, then we're failing our student. And I guess if you had to look at one key thing that was most important to me, would be the success of our students. Because those students have got to graduate or leave Northeast, and wherever they go, whether it's in the workforce or whether it's on to a senior institution to continue their education, they've got to take what they have acquired here at Northeast and apply it to wherever they're going, and they have got to be successful. If they're not successful, then it reflects back upon the things that we're doing. So that's why we're constantly evaluating, getting data to make sure that our students are successful when they move on. So that's our top priority there. So just enjoying that and watching people be successful, that's my reward from being president.
And that's great, and that's what I see just in my little time of working here, is we really implement the moving forward. I know that's one of your big phrases, and as a student and now as an employee here, we see that every day, helping people move forward in their education, move forward in their next stage of life. And it's been really interesting to see how great our staff is being kind and friendly and doing everything they can to make sure the student's success is put first. And it's been really rewarding to me to watch that.
Yeah.
So we talked about the positive stuff, all happy stuff. But we do know there are some challenges that come with your job too. That's why they pay you the big bucks. So what's the most challenging part of your job?
Well, I'm not sure about the big bucks part, but there are definitely some challenges. And, not only with this position as being president, but any position, even with your position, you have challenges. And it's very important that you, and this is kind of hard to instill within someone, and an individual has really got to instill this within themselves, and that is to make themselves look forward to the challenges. I will think about things that are going to happen tomorrow, and I will think about how hard it's going to be, and that just, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of weird, but that kind of excites me, and that kind of challenges me myself, and I start looking forward to it, and I'm saying, we're going to get this, I'm going to get this, I'm going to make this work. And, I have to go back to my faith, because a lot of times I'll come into challenges and situations and thinking, well, there's no way we can make this work. But when it's all said and done and the dust is cleared, it all worked out. And then in my quiet time, I'm reminded, God reminds me that the fact that I told you I had this, so I've got your back on this. So sometimes we fail to remember that, and we fail to put our faith in God. And so I do that. So there are some challenges, and if we're looking at specific challenges here at Northeast, of course, at any other institution of higher learning, the challenge is funding, appropriations and funding, and getting money to run the institution. And that's one of the things that we're challenged with, and I'm probably challenged more than anything, is to make sure that we're financially viable and that we can make it, and we have the money to operate, and we have the money to pay our employees. It's hard to give a pay raise every year, although that's what I would love to do. Obviously, the amount of funds available does not allow us to do that. And I think as an employee, we need to look at it and say, hey, I have a great job here. I have decent pay for this area where I live, and we're going to work as hard as we can to get pay raises and more money and things like that. But I don't think we need to let that just consume us. And I think we get to a point where some folks just think all the time about, what can I do to get a pay raise? What can I do to get a promotion? And that's a challenge here, is putting people in positions to where they can be successful. Because people ask me, well, how can I move up? How can I do this? How can I do that? And get promoted and that type of thing. And I tell them, I said, just do your job. You just do your job and you will get promoted. I promise you that. You will get moved up in the ranks, so to speak. So, that's a challenge, getting people to stay focused on that part of it. And it comes from constantly reminding people that, don't bring your personal agendas to work with you. I tell our cabinet all the time, when you get to work, put your personal agenda, put your personal aspirations in your glove compartment of your car and lock them up, and do not bring them onto campus. Because we need you thinking about what can we do as a group and as a team, what can we do to make Northeast the best community college in the country. And if all of us are focusing on that aspect, then, it's inevitable. We are going to move forward. We're going to be successful. So those are challenges within itself, just the employee aspect of it, the funding aspect of it. That's challenging. And to me, this is a passion. Just Northeast is a passion to me. It's a wonderful life. I've had a wonderful life. If I had to leave today, I would walk out with zero regrets. Obviously, you look back over your career and see some things you did, and you would certainly do some things differently, obviously, because hindsight's 20/20, as we know that. But going forward, you need to look back on those things that you would have done differently and do them differently going forward. So that's why we need to learn from our past and help us plan for our future. But it's challenging every day, but it's challenging that I relish. and I look forward to. And I get excited about some of the things that people would shy away from. But I just have, I guess it comes from coaching and being participating in athletics. Bring it on. Bring it on. Let's go do it. So that's kind of my attitude toward this, and hopefully I'll keep that for a long time.
And I think that's why, one of the reasons we're so successful is you bring that attitude to the table, and you set that standard for everyone, like, we're going to be the best. And that makes my competitive drive go right up, because, like, we're going to be better than everybody else. But, we kind of talked about the past. What do you think some of the greatest highlights of the spring 22 semester were?
Oh, well, let me go back just a minute ago when you made the statement that we want to be the best there is out there. I don't look at this as competing against Itawamba, Northwest, East Central, East Mississippi. I'm not competing against those folks. We're just going to put a plan in place, and we're just going to do it a lot better than they're going to do it.
And we're competing with ourselves, too. We're
right.
making ourselves, we got to be better every year. We look back at, what we could have done better, what we did good, and we build off of that. And so, you have that mindset of, okay, this was good, but let's make it great.
Yeah. And I'm not consumed with what everybody else is doing, and I don't really care what everybody else is doing. I just know what we're going to do, and we're going to do it better than everybody else. That's my philosophy on it. But to answer your question you just asked, looking back over the spring semester, I think one of the things was the relief a little bit from all the COVID guidelines and things that we had in place. That was extremely, the past 2 years has been very challenging. It's been challenging, especially for the faculty and the instructors here on campus, and the students coming into class and face-to-face and online. And we were very fortunate to have been probably the only institution in Mississippi, including IHL, community colleges, and even K-12, the only institution that was prepared for a pandemic when it came along, because of our one-to-one initiative that we had in place, and with the technology that we had in place. And we were able to switch all of our classes to online within a matter of a day and a half. We did that with ease, and it wasn't that difficult. But easing some of those restrictions and some of those guidelines, and letting the students get back into a normal classroom situation, face-to-face situation, without, we wore masks some, but not nearly as strict as we were previously. So that relief from some of the COVID regulations was a big highlight of our spring semester, I think. And then I could see it all across campus. Kids were beginning to get back into the flow of things. There were groups of them in the cafeteria. There were groups of them out on campus that were actually, talking and having a good time and enjoying college life, and enjoying some of the things that a lot of them missed in high school. That both the freshman and sophomore groups that we had this year, both of them went through 2 years of COVID in high school. So they were in a situation where they didn't have student life like they normally would have. We just completed graduation, which was a success, and a lot of them, this was their first graduation that they ever got to experience, because they weren't able to in high school. Our sophomores graduated first in the COVID situation in 20. They didn't have a high school graduation, as we didn't have one. We had a drive-through. They drove through and picked up their diploma, so it wasn't a normal graduation. And even last year, we kind of got back to a little bit of normalcy here, but it was still with some guidelines in place. And even the kids in high school that graduated last year, it wasn't a normal graduation. So it was a relief this semester to kind of get back to some type of normalcy. And I think our student success will ramp up even more because of that.
We touched a little bit on spring. Do we have anything super excited to look forward to in the fall? Anything you're really pumped about?
Well, I think, again, and of course we've got to keep this in the back of our mind as we move forward for summer and fall too. COVID is still there. It's still out there. And matter of fact, in Mississippi, the cases are beginning to get on the rise again, and that's concerning. So we've got to make sure that we try to maintain an environment that is free of COVID. So as we move forward, the things that I'm really excited about, obviously, is just the student life getting back to normal, with some activities and student activities and those type of things, getting our student center in the Union back up and going with the TVs going and the students there with the games, playing the gaming, and that's something that to me is enjoyable to go to the cafeteria and walk through, see students sitting out talking with each other and just having a good time between classes, and then go into the game room and you see them sitting at the gaming stations playing games with each other and those type of things. So I'm excited to get that all back up and going forward. So, other than just the normal instruction and just getting that quality instruction out to the students, right now that's just pretty much it.
Awesome. And my final question to kind of wrap things up is, so say there's a high school senior and they know one day they want to have a leadership role. They want to be able to make the big decisions and do the big things. What advice would you give them on how to prepare to hold a leadership role?
First of all, I would ask them to stay in school, make sure that they get the education that they need. Back when I was working in missions and financial aid and recruiting students and things like that, the things that I told those students, every senior class I talked to, was this: in order to be successful, you've got to have some type of formal education and formal training in something. And I often referred to, when I was growing up, if our car tore up or if our automobile had problems, we'd take it to the guy who lived down the road about 2 miles, who was a shade tree mechanic. And we would take it and pull it up into his yard and leave it, and we'd come back the next day and we'd pick it up. And, that person had no formal education whatsoever, but yet he had acquired those skills through just working on cars. But now, with the addition of technology within those automotive systems, that doesn't exist any longer. So if you want to work on automobiles, then you've got to get some type of formal training in that. And I always ask the students, what will you be doing 5 to 6 years from now? So that's what the question that I would ask any student wanting to become a leader in this world would be, to look at themselves and envision themselves 5 to 6 to 7 years from now. Okay, in 2028, where am I going to be? What will I be doing? And kind of put a plan together and have that plan in place. But the biggest part of that, first part of that plan, has got to get some type of formal training, which is the educational process. And so whatever they're going to do, get that education in place. And then get a place of employment and do your job. It goes back to what I meant: do your job, and then your superiors will certainly recognize you. And all those soft skills that a lot of students and adults don't have today. And that is, it matters how you dress. It matters how you treat people. It matters whether or not you show up to work on time. It matters whether or not you're enthusiastic and you show enthusiasm with the job that you're doing. And it matters whether or not you support the vision of the company or the institution or whoever's in charge. Those things matter going forward, because if you rebel in any of those, chances of you moving up are going to be slowed down dramatically, and you may not ever get to the point you want to be at as far as a leader. So just those soft skills, those little things, the big thing now that really gets under my skin is the casual dress of people nowadays. They think that if they could, they'd come to work in their pajamas. That's the type of mentality we have out there today. And I'm not sure that's so good in today's society, especially in the educational world. That's not good. I always use this example. If I walk by a classroom and observe a teacher teaching, I need to be able to tell the difference between the teacher and the student by the way they're dressed. And I don't buy this where, well, they feel comfortable if I got my jeans on. That's not true. That's not true. They don't need to look to you as an equal. They need to look to you as a mentor, somebody they can look up to and somebody they can emulate. So I think it's very important that us now in positions of leadership prepare those people with those same type of attitudes. This is very important going down. If we casual this thing down, it's going to go down further and further and further. So where does it stop? So therefore, we've got to make sure that we maintain our vigilance of being professional in all those soft skills. And once you got those in place, then it goes back to the formal training you have. That can really take effect then.
Thank you again so much for sitting down and talking with us today. These are such great words of wisdom and aspirations for students to look forward to. And I was excited when you said yes to coming on. And for our listeners, I'm so excited next month to be hosting some of our career and technical program directors and maybe a few of our industry partners. So stay tuned.